Hello again. Just a suggestion, this video is going to be a little puzzling unless you've seen the introduction to this series. But if you're impatient, what I'm in the process of doing is describing the framework of my morality, out of both ire and amusement at the many religious people who have told me that it is impossible to have morality without religion. So let's get on with it. There are very few certainties you can have in life. Really, there's only one, and it's only around as long as you are. We can't truly grasp the moment of birth except in retrospect, and death is such a complete change from all we know that it's almost impossible for us to grapple with directly. So what can we have in this uncertain world where we can't even be sure what our senses are telling us is real? Quite a lot, actually, if you're willing to face the question from the position that you exist in an internally consistent reality. As with any kind of system, you have to start with definitions. In this case, we only need one definition. That is for the word universe. And it's a simple definition: everything. If something interacts with the universe, then it's a part of it, period. This may mean that I'm really talking about multiverses or extra dimensions or pink flying unicorns, whatever. If it exists, it's part of the universe. I realize in this definition that I am assuming that everything in the universe interacts with everything else in one way or another, at one time or another. Given the discoveries of modern physics, that is not a controversial claim to make. Now, I could define at least 36 other words in the process of laying the groundwork for this argument, but I think I'll just stick with one. Since it encompasses everything, it's a good start. So now that we have a definition, we need at least one assertion to start off with. And the easiest one to start off with is one that is popularized by Descartes, but is actually much older than that. In its simplest form, it is I am. It requires no proof, because if I didn't exist at the time I made the statement, then I couldn't have made it. Now that we've moved from a definition to an assertion, we can start to put things together. I'm not going to try and classify the steps I take from here on out rigorously, but we're starting from a very firm foundation. So in the interests of time and efficiency, I'll simply number the steps in the video. I do not have a complete understanding of the universe. I have an understanding of at least one thing: I am. But my understanding of events not directly within my perception is incomplete at best, and by the time I do understand them, they may have changed. I could argue that events outside my perception do not necessarily exist, but that this approach would raise more questions than it answers. So I'll accept that there is an external reality, and that I do not completely understand it. I will not contend that my perceptions are completely accurate, only that they provide information about the universe, and that any distortions in this information are, as is everything, part of the universe and subject to investigation of one sort or another. Next, I must use what understanding I have, however strong or weak, or right or wrong that understanding may be. This is not an imperative, it's a statement of fact. As long as I as a thinking entity exist, I am making decisions and taking actions based on my understanding of the universe. That process will only stop when I no longer exist. I have two methods of honing that understanding: the information from my senses and the ability to think about what I have seen. I know I'm going to have to come back to that word think, though. Don't worry, I won't forget. It's my favorite part. The best intellectual tool that I have for testing and understanding of the universe is the scientific method. Now this one is important. It does not reveal truths, it is a systematic testing of falsifiable propositions about the nature of the universe. Now there are other tools I have, and they include logic and philosophy, but those are tools of analysis rather than observation. Now I'm going to take the points I've made so far and state that you exist as well. Not only am I going to state that you exist, but you and I are similar critters, which means that you at least have something going on upstairs if you're watching and listening to this. Now I'm assuming that you have at least the senses of sight and hearing, but there could be other ways in which this is being communicated to you that I don't know about, such as a third person transcribing these words into Braille. As long as there is some connection between our minds and the larger world, we can communicate but not completely understand each other, since there is no reliable method of direct mental communication between us that has been observed, or that those who have claimed to feel such a thing have been able to demonstrate with greater reliability than would be produced by random chance. I'm going to state that I can't peek into your mind and you can't peek into mine. Even if you could, your perception of what is there would be drastically different than mine. This leaves us with the only thing that connects human minds with any significant degree of reliability whatsoever as language. And I'm going to define that broadly: written and spoken language, pictures, posture and facial expression, and the manner in which we touch each other. So this is the foundation of my morality, starting from the idea that the universe is the totality of what is, and finally arriving at the point where we're connected by a common reality via the limited conduits of our senses and our abilities to express and understand. Already this requires a certain humility, tempered with a wry sort of humor. It also demands some respect for the people and things around you, even if the types of respect are very different, depending upon whether what you're talking about is true, false, helpful, or dangerous. In most cases, it is all of these things and more. We still have to explore the human condition in detail, and that is where most of the work will be done, but building on what we've just seen. I look forward to it. Thank you for your time and attention.